What's really good, LeSBP Trading Familia, buenos dias, bonjour, bon dia, savona, good night, kumbawa, masaka, up top. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're going to jump right in because I know I'm going to over explain everything on the charts anyways, and I'll tell you about the tweaks and kind of what we changed. So, first things first is the news. Today is June 23rd, Monday. We have Flash Manufacturer PMI, Flash Services PMI. Both of those came out pretty well. That was at 9:45 Eastern this morning. On the Tradeovate side of things, we ended up making 1,247.50 or 1,238 if you take out the commissions. We had some pretty decent trades today. As you can see, it was a winning day. Very different from our last few days. This is not normal, of course. If you saw my last few videos, we have been losing for probably about almost 2 weeks straight. So beautiful day. Can't ask for more. Going to the take profit dashboard or control center. 2 trading days in the books. Reach profit target of 3,000 is what we're going for. Our biggest day cannot be more than 50% of total profit. Right now we're at 41 and 21, and I don't think we're gonna want a bigger day than 1,200 anyways. So we should be pretty decent. I try to keep it, well within. So haven't broken any rules. Here's our balance, and then of course we had one losing day. You'll have to go back and catch that if you did not when I talked about it. All right, moving on to the charts. We have our higher Friday, lower Friday, and then you'll notice this little blue line here as well. This just signifies a really high or really low position that I see from the market or price in a sense. I kind of got that from the 1 hour time frame. I don't want to go too far in depth only because of some fact it's going to take this video way too long. So just letting you know what it is, and hopefully if you can catch me on stream, I'll probably explain it a little bit better. But yeah, so we marked that low of a good price movement point, and then we marked the previous day's high and low as well. So high and low right here on Friday. All right, looking at that and going into the day, we had a bunch of good touches here on that low of Friday. So we had a bunch of touches here going into the Sunday open. We had some touches overnight. And then we had another touch this morning at 7. And then you'll see this red line here, which is something I've always talked about. I just kind of never marked it off until now because I really want to make sure that I'm getting in at the exact position I'm supposed to get in. But this is basically me marking off where my indicator said to either buy or sell. The only reason why I usually put that there is because if it's previous to the time frame that I actually trade, I want to know if that was the last buy position or if that was the last sell position my indicator gave me. So in this case, it was a buy position that my indicator gave me, but it was at 8:04, so I marked it off to let me know that when I can trade after 9:30, hey, you might have a possible buy here, or you might have a possible sell here. In this case, it was a possible buy. Now, I wasn't too worried about the news today because for me, I don't think I've ever seen Flash Manufacturing PMI, Flash Services PMI move the market like 30, 40, 50, pips or something like that. Usually I wouldn't want to trade right before the news happens, but in my case, I felt like it doesn't do a lot of movement in that way. So I kind of just gave it a chance. Plus, we were only using one contract first off. Um, to be honest, it was an actual accident. I made it seem like on the stream it was on purpose, but it was an accident. I didn't intentionally use one pip, or one contract. The problem was over the weekend, did a little bit of testing. While I was testing, I was using one contract on paper just to kind of see how it would go. I was doing a lot of back testing and stuff like that, just trying to get the tweaks out that I made to the strategy and trying to figure out if it worked and all sort of stuff. And after that, I kind of forgot to put it back. So if you watch this morning stream, you notice I had a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas while the price was all the way up here at like 30 plus pips, and I was like, man, I wish this, I wish that, blah blah blah. That was my own. That was a mistake. That was my own mistake. But we ended up getting in a really good trade here. It was a buy position that bounced off of our previous buy position that came up at around 8 o'clock. Got into that. News wasn't too hot and heavy. I think that was on like 7 pip move. And then as you can see, it gradually just continued up. At this point, I think it was up about 33, 34 pips. Once again, I wasn't too worried about it though, because I was like, well, shit, we're only in one contract. So technically, I think that was only like $140. Sounds like little, or it sounds like a lot maybe. But to me, I felt like if I'm using 6 contracts, that would have been like 900 and some odd dollars, or maybe 1,000 and some dollars at that time. So I was like, all right, well, cool. We're only one contract, move stop loss to break even. And then as you can see, it decided to come back down, which is very interesting. So it went all the way up there, then came all the way back down. It was a good thing and a bad thing all in one time, because in my head I'm like, man, that sucks. It didn't go the full 50 pips. I'll tell y'all about that on the stream tomorrow. But we are going for 10 pips depending on if the market is going towards that high and low price that I mark out. And we're only going, or sorry, we're on 10 pips if it's going towards that price. And we're going 50 pips, excuse me, if it's going away from that price. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, basically you're just looking at the high and the low, and you're trying to see the market push away from whatever that position. So if it's a high, I'm trying to sell away from that position. If it's a low, I'm trying to buy away from that position. Um, and if it gives me a sell or buy trade in between, I still take the trades. I just only take it for 10 pips exactly. So at this point, because it says sell, but we have that low down there from Sunday, I'm only going to sell for 10 pips instead of going for like the 50. So went for 10 pips here. Beautiful trade. That was our second trade here for 300. Our first trade came out at a positive 250. And then I kind of got pissed because this third trade, once again, we're supposed to go for 10 pips. I got a little scared. I ain't gonna lie. Right here at 1257, I was like, yeah, fuck this trade. It's gonna knock me out anyway. It's probably gonna lose. Blah 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 blah. And of course, what did it do? 3 minutes later, it hit the 10 pips. That would have been another $300. But luck was on our side. Luck was on our side. The market said, nah, bro, we're gonna give it to you today. And we got a fourth trade here. Now, as you can see, we held this trade quite long. 31.5 pips is when we got out. Literally the only reason why we got out was because we didn't want to go 50% above our total profit. So you can't hit 1500 basically. So I wanted to keep it within reason. So I let it get to about 1240 and I was like, yeah, we out. But the idea here was to hold it until it got to about 50 pips. Once again, I'll try to explain my best on the stream because that way this video won't be too long. So either way, got out at 31.5 pips. I just kind of wanted to see what would happen. So I just dragged out the buy position holder to see what would have happened. As you can see, that Friday high here marked by the purple line was bypassed. It kind of came back a little bit after it got like 49.50 ticks. And then as you can see, it finished out at 44.75 pips. So I was like, all right, cool. That would have been 44.75. And then I just kind of wanted to see if we could have taken a trade after the market reopened at 1800 to see if we can get to that 50. Now, I don't think it's reasonable to do this if you're up this high, because what you would hate is you get into that same position where you left off and for it to come all the way back down 44.75 ticks and take you out, which basically ends up making you have a break even day. So I don't think that's very smart, but maybe there's a better way of doing this. I just wanted to test it out to see if it would have worked. And in this case, it would have worked. I wouldn't recommend this shit though, because you can look at that risk reward and see that's a 0.12. Definitely not. Not one point, not one. Not 1.12. All right, what was that? Not 0.12. I don't even know. Yeah, not even. It's not great, but either way, it was a decent day. Really, really decent day. And as you can see, the market is teetering up a little bit more and moving towards. If I can find it, always show. Where is it? Okay. I guess it's not gonna show. Moving towards our highs. Here we go. I don't know why it's not showing, but either way, moving towards basically what we consider our all-time highs. So we'll see where it goes. Tomorrow we have Fed Chair Powell testifies, and then again on Wednesday. The news ain't so great right now. I know if y'all watching the news, man, it ain't so great right now. So I'm kind of skeptical on where the market's gonna go and how it's gonna react, and I'm kind of nervous. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie to you right now. So I'm kind of nervous to see where it's gonna go, but at the same time, I'm slightly excited because maybe we'll get more volatility, which is great, or greater than what I was doing before, where I was getting chopped up in the market, and the market is doing this, is doing the worm on your boy. You know what I mean? Like I ain't like that. But either way, I appreciate y'all. Thanks. I'm glad I was able to shorten the video up to at least 10 minutes, because it was like almost a cool 20. But yeah, y'all have a good day. Hopefully you had a good trading day, better day than I. Hope y'all have a good one. All right, peace. All right, that's better. 10 minutes.